The rise in girls committing crime is actually quite an interesting phenomenon, and I think we can draw on potentially different explanations as to why that is the case. Some would say it's about greater freedom, that young women don't feel constrained by conventional expectations of femininity, so they feel more able to be out there on the streets. Binge drinking would be a good example of that, which young women engage in as readily as young men, so that they are out in the context in which the potential for criminal behaviour might occur. I think there's also been, one would have to look at the changes in criminal justice practice. So there's a sense in which the tolerance of female criminality has changed amongst criminal justice professionals perhaps, so that would be another ingredient that we would need to unpick. But there are factors to do with economic changes, demographic changes, criminal justice professional practices that might contribute towards a greater presence of women in the crime statistics. Feminism has had a huge impact on criminology. Certainly since the late 1960s, early 1970s, when feminists actually weren't concerned about crime. Their main focus was the impact that patriarchy had on women's lives, and patriarchy means essentially the power that men hold over women. And in a very, very practical and campaigning sense, they were concerned with women's experiences of sexual violence. And I use sexual violence in the most general sense, referring to sexual assault, rape and domestic violence, violence in the home. So the feminist movement that was laid behind this, the establishment of things like rape crisis centres and the women's refuge movement, wasn't concerned with the criminality of domestic violence or rape, but was concerned with empowering women to resist patriarchy, which they saw as the means by which those kinds of relationships were produced. But very quickly, it generated an interest in the fact that these kinds of violences that were in the late 1960s and early 1970s relatively hidden from public view and relatively unaddressed by the criminal justice system were also criminal. Violence against the person in the home is violence against the person. It's the same act of violence that would occur in the street. So, in actually drawing attention to what goes on behind closed doors, what goes on in private between two people as being criminal behaviour, feminism has expanded the criminological agenda and appreciation of what might count as criminal and what might be deviant.